to request everyone to enter with their actual names, both names, and their countries. I can notice that most people did not put the countries, but this is of help due to the game that we'll be playing that will require your address and your place of residence. I would like to go through the program for today. I am your host, your moderator for this event. My name is Deborah Ishimwe. I am a youth in my 20s, my mid-20s. I live in Sweden. I am a student of industrial economy and logistics at the University of Gävle, as well as I work with the municipality of Gävle in the welfare department. It is with great pleasure and honor that I would like to thank my ambassador and the coordinating team for this privilege to host and to be the moderator of today's event. We'll soon be welcoming Her Excellency, the Ambassador of the Nordic countries in Europe for the welcoming speech. Right after, she'll be helping us to welcome our guest of honor for a speech, Honorable Minister of Youth and Culture. After the presentation of Honorable Minister, we'll also be having a poem by Brian. More information will be coming before the poem. After the entertainment, the poem by Brian, will also be hearing from a very special youth that is part of the guest speakers, Sangwa Zihi. Will be also be entertained by a dance, a traditional dance by Kajeje. We'll also be receiving some questions and answers where you could ask a question and get the answers from any of the key speakers or anyone that you would like to have the answers from related to the conversations we'll be having. Right after that, we'll be having also some inputs from different youth about business, about our communities, the project that we have in this community, as well as guests from Belgium that will also be telling us about their experience. And the most interesting part as well, everything is interesting, but this one will determine how interesting the whole conversations have been. It's Kahoot. It's a game where we'll be answering questions that will be mostly including the conversation we've had with our key speakers. The winner will be awarded with a ticket from Rwanda. So I urge you to actually be participating and win your chances to fly with Rwanda. After that, we'll announce the winners, the three winners of the game. The more details and information. And we'll get welcoming our ambassador again for the closing remarks. After the closing remarks, we'll be with our singer, a special singer from Finland called Dodi Uhiriwe, where she'll be closing this whole virtual conversation that we'll be having, my future, my identity. I would like to welcome Her Excellency, the Ambassador of the Nordic countries in Europe. You're welcome, ma'am.
Thank you, Deborah. Good afternoon, everybody. Honorable Minister of Youth and Culture, Rosemary Babazi, dear Mr. Sangwa Gwawuhihi, dear participants, and most importantly, dear youth joining us today. It is indeed my pleasure to welcome you all to this virtual event organized by the Embassy in close collaboration with the Rwandan communities in the Nordic countries, as Deborah rightly said. During this COVID-19 pandemic, in which we cannot gather, we must continue adapting to ways of connecting with one another, even virtually. Today, we are meeting here on this platform to discuss the topic, Rwanda, my identity, my future. I am happy that you, more than 100 youth, are joining us today to engage with representatives of the Rwandan government as well as your peers. Rwanda has a rich culture and heritage, and this is a unique opportunity for many of you to learn more about it, as well as about the future of our country. As you listen to our guest speakers, it is my wish that they help you gain a better understanding of who you are, and that you can better connect where you come from to where you are today and where you are going. So as we say in Kinyarwanda, utazi aho ava ntamenya aho ajya. The topic identity is complex, and there has been a lot of research conducted and theories developed on it. But for young people, there are many different aspects of identity, ranging from choosing a career path to cultivating moral and political beliefs, as well as becoming just a friend or a partner. But most importantly, identity encompasses the values we hold, which guide the choices we make. So to understand who you are, you must be open to knowing the values of your origins. These will help you to build your full identity and develop a stable personality. And in turn, you will become good and valuable citizens, Rwandan citizens. Although we all gathered here today have different individual backgrounds and experiences, what we all have in common is our Rwandan identity. And if there is one thing that unifies us more than anything, it is our language, Kinyarwanda. This is why I really want to encourage you to learn Kinyarwanda. I know it is not easy, but it's a question of mindset. If you are keenly interested, invest time and willingness, then you will get there. You have so many opportunities. Do not be shy to engage your parents and elders in Kinyarwanda. I know, for example, that in your communities, they are offering Kinyarwanda lessons free of charge. Grab the opportunity. You can even learn online. You might maybe not be fluent, but at least you can understand, and step by step, you will even be able to express yourself. And as they say, just get started, just do it. And maybe our next event can be held in Kinyarwanda and not in English. So our dear youth, Rwanda's Vision 2050 is our country's development aspiration to ensure high standards of living for all Rwandans, focusing on areas such as quality of life, modern infrastructure, livelihoods, and the transformation of the economy for prosperity by the year 2050. We will only reach these goals if we all actively contribute to this vision. You often hear that youth are the future. For us, this is not just a slogan. Your country, Rwanda, values you. We know that you, the youth, have the full potential to substantially contribute to the building of our country. And we want to give you the space you deserve to grow in understanding and to take responsibility as you are the current and the future leaders of Rwanda. I want to make it clear that all our Rwandan youth are equally welcome to become integrated in our country, no matter where in the world you live. The fact that Honorable Minister Mbabazi is making time, despite her busy schedule, on a Saturday afternoon to engage with you today is one of the many proofs that we mean what we say and we take you seriously. Honorable Minister, thank you so much. Your presence is much appreciated. We are looking forward to hearing from you about the rebuilding of Rwanda and the role the youth have played and continue to play in the building of the Rwanda we want. This is intrinsically related to the values that drove and motivated Rwandans through a road that was by no means an easy one to be where we are today. We also look forward to hearing from you, dear Sangwa. Sangwa is a former member of the Rwandan diaspora, and he will share his journey of his return home to Rwanda and hopefully provide you much inspiration. The aim of today is not only to have you listening to our speakers, but to engage and share your ideas and views as partners in action towards the sustainable Rwandan future. The possibilities and opportunities are endless. And as an embassy, we are committed to continuing to provide more opportunities like this one for exchange. Our door is open to all Rwandans, younger and older, for any questions or ideas you might want to discuss, or if you need help in making introductions with people in Rwanda. So again, use this time to ask all questions that you may have to gain further knowledge on Rwanda and where the country is headed, as well as how you can play a pivotal part in the country's future. But please also use this opportunity to connect to each other and build a vibrant Rwandan youth community in the Nordics. Honorable Minister, the young people with us today all have different backgrounds. Many were born here, some came as small children, while others were a little bit older when they moved to the Nordics. And for some, they even never been to Rwanda. All of them are ready to hear the message you have for them. I wish you all an interesting and fruitful discussions today. Honorable Minister, welcome. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Ambassador. I'm so honored and delighted to be with you, the Rwandan youth in the Nordic countries. As Ambassador, I really appreciate the efforts yourself and the Rwandan community abroad to bring the young people together and also connect them to their countries. It's really amazing, and so I appreciate that. Dear youth in the Nordic countries and the youth across the world, I believe that others, especially those from Rwanda as well, they're taking advantage of this. I think to follow up on this and hear what you have that we can benefit from. Good afternoon, good evening, some of you, or good morning to some of you as well. I'll be speaking in English as well as in Kinyarwanda, kugira ngo nibura mugire icyo mutahana mu Kinyarwanda. Kuriza umwaka mushya muhire kuri mwese abandi bacu bana b'u Rwanda ariko n'ababyeyi banyu namwe twagira ngo tubifurize umwaka mushya muhire. I believe you started the year very well, despite the pandemic of COVID-19. I believe you're safe. I thank you once again and appreciate the invitation, and I'm very honored to be with you today. As I said, and the ambassador said, despite the challenging situation the world is facing of COVID-19, I hope you are safe and sound. Keep the social distancing, though I saw in some homes there is no social distancing, but it's okay, it's understandable, you're at home. Once again, I would like to thank the organizers for choosing a very stimulating theme. It sounds poetic and has a lot of meaning. Rwanda, my identity, my future. If you could even always ask yourself with curiosity that identifies with youth, why are we called Rwanda? What is the meaning of that word Rwanda? When you ask, check our history, Rwanda comes from the verb Rwanda. Rwanda, Ruranda. Ruranda means expansion. Aho muri ni Rwanda. So Rwanda keeps on expanding with you. With you being there, connecting to your peers across the globe, you are also expanding our nation and contributing significantly to its development. Wherever you are, you carry Rwanda with you, and Rwanda is in you. You cannot separate yourself from Rwanda. Even if you become one of the citizens of those countries, they always say, she's this and that, or he's this and that, but with Rwandan origin. So this is an opportunity, as I said, to discuss what matters to us. Our identity as Rwandans, the foundation of our being, what leads our actions. Ambassador said it very well. Nkuko tubivuga ngo utazi yava koko ntabwo yamenye yaje. You need to know your roots. You need to know where you come from. And then, based on that, you can focus on where you want to head to. As a nation, as a government, continuously harness the youth. I would kindly request for people who are not speaking to mute. There's a lot of disturbance and disruption in the background. Thank you very much. As a nation, we continuously harness youth potential. Why do we focus on young people? Why does Ambassador want to engage you? Why does the Rwandan community want to teach you Kinyarwanda? Why do we all focus on you young people? I want to just highlight 7 points that you keep on considering as you go along. First of all, we are a young nation. The numbers, your numbers count. Your numbers are valued. We cannot underestimate. We're talking about 70% of our population composed of young people below 30 years of age. That's a huge number that you cannot underestimate and you can't ignore. That is a strength of our nation. Your numbers is our strength. You hear some countries saying the youth, the bulging numbers of youth, that is a liability, a bomb, a time bomb. No, in Rwanda, we consider you a very strong asset. We consider you as strength of the nation, that we have strength. Dufite amaboko. Amaboko yacu n'abana bacu, n'abana b'u Rwanda. Number 2, why we continue harnessing your potential and unleashing the potential to make sure that you reach your full potential is the skill set that you have. Especially you in the diaspora and abroad, you have wide experience. You have a lot of skills that are needed for a country's development. What you're getting, you're gathering from those countries where you are, the education you're acquiring, the experience you're getting. I believe we all agree education is not only in the room, in the school setting. Education or learning continues across your journey. So the skill set you have is very important. And we value that. That is necessary for development of our country. And statistics and studies and research have shown that the young people of this generation have more skills than the young people of our generation and before us, our parents. So we believe the skills you have should be an asset for our country. Number 3, besides the numbers and the skills, we also look at innovation in your hands. You have a lot of innovation. I joined you earlier and I could see all of you have smartphones and devices, and all this platform that you have can generate innovations. We believe you have a lot of innovations in your hands. How can you bring that kind of innovation, whether innovated by yourself or just gotten or learned from wherever you are? Something that you think is relevant to Rwanda, bring it. So we rely on your innovation that is in your hands. The 4th point is the positive energy. The energy you have, the will that you have, that energy that you have at your early 20s, mid 20s, early 19s, the teenagers, early 30s and beyond. There are also those who we call the youth at heart. Even if you're 40, we consider you youthful at heart. I'm trying to bring myself close to you. And that positive energy that you have, that will. The reason why I say the energy that is positive, there's also some energy which is negative. The negative energy that pulls and drains your energy. So the positive energy I'm talking about is necessary for developing and creates passion that you have for whatever you want to do. So we want to leverage on your positive energy, that will that you have. Don't be held hostage by the past, by the history. Some of you might be born, or some young people across the world might have been maybe from a family that perpetrated 1994 genocide against Tutsi. We believe you are not there. You didn't even decide. You didn't negotiate or discuss with people. But you are held hostage. That are not part of that history, but you need to learn it and know about it so that it can to make better. By learning your history, it makes or helps you to make better choices. You can do less about the history, but you can do much about the future because you have something to do. So I always tell young people that don't be hostages or don't be held hostage in captivity of negativity. Don't be held captive of negativity. Positive energy is, it keeps on increasing and increasing, and the more you download it, or whoever plugs in you also enjoys this positive energy, which is developmental, but not the negative energy that is destructive. And it is contagious. The positive energy is very contagious. In your whole community, you can change whatever is happening, the mindset that is there when you have positivity. So I really encourage you not to be held captive or being a hostage of captivity of negativity. The 5th point, or I think 5th, is about your enthusiasm, the curiosity that you have. You always want to know why this is this. Why does it look like this? Why can't we do it other way? I see that from my teenagers at home. They always want to change things. Why do we do this way? That curiosity that you have is very instrumental in our development of our country. And that curiosity also can be negative. You can be curious in negative things that are destructive. But I want to encourage you, enthusiasm and curiosity should be driven towards the positive thinking. The other point, why do we harness youth potential, is that you are risk aversive. You really want to try, to test. I have a kurubatinya, they're worried what will be the impact, anything positive, anything good developmental. Be risk aversive and try, test, fail, try again, innovation, fail. Maybe there's a challenge of connecting remittances from Nordic countries back home. You can create a device or an application, fail, try, keep on trying until you get an answer out of it. Last but not least, but you can also increase the list and add on, is your adaptability and agility. You can adapt. I can hear the way you speak languages, you speak all those Nordic countries, you adapt so easily and fit in. And also the agility. the ability to adapt and make productivity out of whatever you're doing. That is a strength that also as a country, we want to benefit. Besides these points that I was raising, why we consider you very important first-class citizen is the numbers that you constitute, the skill set that you have, the innovation in your hands, the positive energy that you have, and the will, passion, the enthusiasm and curiosity, the risk aversiveness and adaptability, as well as agility. For our history, I think we can have another topic about our history, but I will just be brief. With our history in the past, prior colonization, where we had Rwanda as a unified society, after the colonial invasion, we had these divisions that were based on classification in the society, were baseless completely, that kept on going forward over decades and destroyed our nation until when the nation was liberated in 1994. And here we have a new nation, a rebirth of a nation. And over those period of time, we have three categories of young people. I think you also think about where do I belong? Of course, you automatically see that by the end of the discussion. Rwanda had three categories of young people. We had young people who are used by bad leadership, the leadership which was based on divisionism, sectarianism, and was more destructive, and it embedded all these bad values, destructive values, I wouldn't say even values, practices that destroyed our nation. You cannot imagine 1 million and so people perishing in only 100 days. You can imagine probably every day how many people were dying in 1994. Those are the youth. It was the youth who were mobilized to do all that bad things that destroyed the nation. And that was a generation of young people who destroyed the nation. We have wazitani interahamwe cyangwa n'abandi bakoreshejwe kugira ngo basenye igihugu cyacu. Then there came another generation of young people in Inkotanyi. They liberated this nation and stopped the genocide against Tutsi. That's another group of young people who could not sit and watch and tolerate the killings and all that bad practices of leadership. They stopped it, they fought and liberated the nation, and their mission was to liberate our nation, unify our nation, and bring peace and security in our country, where everyone had freedom. Buri umwe afite uburenganzira bungana n'undi, bidashingiye ku ho wavukiye, bidashingiye ku wavutseho, bidashingiye ku karere, bidashingiye ku moko, bidashingiye ku anything, any kind of divisionism. That is embedded in our constitution and in institutions that are developed or put in place to ensure that all this is put in place. Now, there's another generation that you belong to, zit inkomeza mihigo. Urubyiruko rwose rw'u Rwanda, aho ruri hose, rwitwa inkomeza mihigo. Rukomeza imihigo y'inkotanyi. Rufite mission. Mumbabarire inkomeza mihigo sindi bubone icyongereza cyane. Nimu bishobora kuze kumfasha. Their mission to rebuild, protect, prosper, and sustain our nation. So your mission is rebuilding our nation, protecting our nation, prosperity, and sustainability. So every generation, I think there's a writer who talked about this, that every generation has a mission. So the mission is a mission at every generation. Ingotanyi had a generation of liberation, a mission of liberating our nation, rebuilding, creating, and cohesion of the society. And now comes inkomeza mihigo zikomeza imihigo y'inkotanyi, aho muri mwo muritwa ni indangamirwa, aho muri mu mahanga, uhagararira Rwanda goodwill ambassadors wherever you are, muri indangamirwa abantu bacaho bakarangamira bakavuga bati abanyarwanda, uyu muntu nuwahe kubera ibikorwa wakoze. So every generation has a mission. You either fulfill it or betray it. But the common goal for the three categories of young people that we had, they had a goal, though some of them fulfilled it, others betrayed it. The common goal of all these three generations I'm talking about was to build our nation, propel to greater heights, But of course, the other young people who committed 1994 genocide against Tutsi and all that betrayed it. You have the opportunity to fulfill it, to fulfill this mission of rebuilding our nation. Now, when I come to your beautiful theme, which I liked so much, Rwanda, my identity, my future. I'm just adding on my, you can also say that. Rwanda, my, you feel like it's at heart, close to your heart. Wherever you are, Rwanda should be close to your heart. What is identity? I like Excellence Ambassador highlighted this. She talked about identity in the usual daily lives, but I wanted just to connect identity with your history. Tutavutse turaba Sudan, tutavutse turaba ibindi bihugu bindi twavuga. There was a reason why you're born Rwandan. Your mouth, the Rwandan blood is flowing in you, the DNA y'Abanyarwanda ikurimo. So identity, it is something that defines you, something that anyone can say and say, this one is a Rwandan. So what do you stand for? When we come to the other discussion, I want you also to tell me, what do you stand for? The Rwandan youth, the Rwandan youth abroad, wherever you are, I want us to tell us, what do you stand for? What defines you that connects to our history? Writers have put it that if you don't stand for something, you stand for nothing. Or if you don't stand for anything, you fall for anything. Do you want to stand for nothing, or do you want to fall for anything? So you have to stand for something. I think even in our creation, God's creation, He wanted us to stand for Rwanda. And what does Rwanda stand for? Our history has also demonstrated our heritage, umurage wacu. Mu murage wacu nk'Abanyarwanda, n'ibiki byaturanze bitugaragazamo nk'indangagaciro, have values that we call our own. Bidutandukanya n'uyu mu bihugu duturanye n'imbibi z'ibihugu dufite. Our history has demonstrated our heritage. Dufite umurage dukura ku batubanjirije, ku bakurambere bacu. Dufite umurage witwa kuba Abanyarwanda bataneshwa. Ibyo nabyo sinibubonera Icyongereza rwose n'Igifaransa, nubwo Igifaransa ndi umunyeshuri wacyo. Abataneshwa Abanyarwanda, umurage tugaragariza mu mateka ko Abanyarwanda ntago bemeraga kuneshwa, batewe n'ibihugu bari baturanye, n'abanyamahanga, n'abanyoro, n'abaki, baraterwa, ariko they never give up. N'abataneshwa. Mu maraso yacu twitwa abataneshwa, mugende mutahe mubizi. Mu murage wacu duhabwa n'abakurambere turabataneshwa. Icya kabiri, turabadaheranwa. Ntabwo duheranwa n'amateka. Reba igihugu cyacu aho cyageze at the bottom, zero, negative, dutangira kuri zero, ibintu byose biri agent for development. But we didn't give up. Nubwo twavuze ngo reka dutegereze amahanga azadutabare, nk'uko bavuga mu Kinyarwanda ngo akimuhana kaza imvura ihise. Ngo ndabasigira imigani, ariko ndabizi ko bamwe mushobora kuba mubizi, n'ababyeyi banyu babari uruhande babafashe. Turaheranwa, ntabwo duheranwa by all means. We fall, we rise up. We fall, we rise up. Ikindi turi ntagamburuzwa n'amananiza. That is in our history, the heritage, umurage uturanga dukomora ku batubanjirije, ko tutemera kuneshwa, tutemera guheranwa, tutemera kugamburuzwa n'amananiza n'ibibazo byose byo twaba dufite. Of course, problems will always be there. Challenges will be there. It's part of this life. N'abana bacu baba bafite ibibazo byabo, n'abatubanjirije bari bafite ibyabo, natwe dufite ibyacu, n'abazakurikira bafite ibyabo. Ariko ikituranga, ntituneshwe, ntiduheranwe, ntitugamburuzwe n'ibyo bibazo, ahubwo tubinyuremo butore. We rise up beyond the challenges. So I thought about what we as Rwandans stand for. Chaje nababazaga ngo, what is your identity? What defines you? What do you stand for? Wherever you are, mu ishuri wiga, muri community bamwo, mu kazi ukoramwo, wherever you go in social life, What do you stand for? What can't you stand for? First of all, what we stand for as Rwandans is unity. We should be identified with unity. Kugira ngo tugere kuri kuba abataneshwa, abadaheranwa, nuko tubaga dufite ubumwe. We put every effort together. You can imagine the power of unity. United we stand, divided we fall. Niko bavuga. The unity that we should have as Rwandans. I think you recall our president, His Excellency Paul Kagame, when he said, after 1994 genocide against Tutsi, we had 3 choices. And I used those 3 choices to expand further and see what do we stand for as Rwandans. Number 1 was unity, that we chose unity over divisionism. Twahisemo ubumwe bw'Abanyarwanda. Secondly, we chose to think big. Bigahura na rya zina ry'Ubunyarwanda munaryibuka impamvu twitwa u Rwanda turanda. We think big. We are not limited by geographical boundaries that were created by colonial powers or colonialism. Niyo bavuga ngo u Rwanda ni akadomo ku ikarita y'isi, niko babivuga ngo Rwanda is a small nation and there's a dot on the map. It's a small landlocked. We're not held by captivity of necessity, you remember? So even if we're small in size, it doesn't mean that we should be small in mentality. It doesn't mean we should be small in innovation. Aho muri hose mwa Rwanda. So we think big as Rwanda. When the national unit decided that we have to think big by unity, we have to think big in whatever we're doing. When we decide to be Commonwealth and Francophonie, it is thinking big. You take advantage of all the opportunities and you grow your country. When Rwanda's army goes abroad in Central African Republic and goes to Sudan, goes to Haiti, thank you, and many others. When they go everywhere they go, it's because we're thinking big. The security we enjoy, it was at the cost of our blood. But we don't want anyone else to lose it. We safeguard it. We know what it means to have security and peace. That is thinking big. We want to think big in whatever we're doing. And that is among the 3 choices that His Excellency, the President, said after 1994. We decided to be united. We decided to think big and connectivity. If you think about even thinking big, there are many things. In this COVID-19 pandemic, when everyone is indoors, in Rwanda, we are constructing schools, school construction of over 22,000 classrooms for our kids, so that after COVID, we can go back and our children who are crowded, we construct. When they come back, they will find schools expanded. We're not yet where we want, but we think big in whatever we do. When we do connectivity, fiber optic network, country, every border post, I just imagine, supposing we didn't have connectivity across the country on all border posts, what would we do right now when internet was a necessity, is a utility? It used to be a luxury. Now it is a utility. It's one of the important utilities. If we didn't think about that, we could be disconnecting many communities. But thinking big goes beyond your own interest and goes beyond our own communities. So that defines us as Rwandans. Another thing that defines all we stand for is resilience. But for a justified cause. Resilience for a justified cause. Another thing is also accountability. We stand for accountability. If that is not accountable, is not leadership. And you recall everything rises and falls with leadership. Kindly mute your mics. There's a lot of disturbance in the background. Thank you. Accountability. I'm still talking about Rwandans, what we stand for. We stand for a unified front, a unified nation. We stand for resiliency. We stand for agaciro. Urubyiruko rwo mu Rwanda ruragira ruvuga ngo bitwa agaciro generation. A dignified generation. You are a dignified generation. Her Excellency Ambassador rightly said that wherever you are, whoever you are, wherever background it is, you are welcome to the embassy, you are welcome to Rwanda. A dignified society, a dignified community, a dignified nation. That is what we stand for. Namwe aho muri mwishuri, mukazi mukora, muri community muri mu ntago mutuye mwenyine. Do you really show this dignified community that is respecting its culture, that likes to speak their language, that is proud of who they are? Ukavuga icyongereza neza, ukavuga igiswedish neza, ukavuga igifinish neza, ukavuga igifaransa, ukavuga icyarabu, ukavuga igishinwa, ariko kuki utavuga neza ikinyarwanda? Nibyo byose izo ndimi zose tuvuga tuba twashyizemo imbaraga, twashoyemo imbaraga tukaziga, bikadutwara imbaraga nk'uko ambassador yabivugaga. Nawe washyiramo imbaraga, icyo ushaka gitwara umutima wawe, gitwara umwanya wawe. So it's also possible that you can learn Kinyarwanda. It's easy if you want. Where there is a will, there is a way. Nagira ngo rero natinze about what we stand for, but really young people, I want to hear from you. What do you stand for? I just say these few things of unity, resilience, agaciro, dignified, accountability, thinking big, and many more. You will also tell us, what do you stand for? That this, I can't stand this. Therefore, our identity is ndi umunyarwanda, isano muzi dusangiye nk'abanyarwanda. Aho uri hose uri umunyarwanda, irrespective of your history, irrespective of the classification abakoloni bashyizeho Umuhutu, Umututsi, Umutwa. It used to have value by then because of the benefits that were associated with that. Right here in Rwanda, uri Umututsi, uri Umuhutu, uri Umutwa, it doesn't add any portion on your plate. Icyangombwa ni uri umunyarwanda, n'ibyo ukora ubikora nk'umunyarwanda, kuko icyo dusangiye nk'abanyarwanda, umuco umwe, ururimi rumwe, one language, one culture, everything. We share all this. So our future is secure with our common identity. I think those who are in business, you know this. In business, a strong brand has a great future. Can you make Rwanda brand a strong brand? It's not allowing malpractices or things that down that strong brand, where as a brand, wherever you are in school, at work, everyone says, oh, no, Munyarwanda. After agaciro, yihesha agaciro, mu byo akora. Ntabwo ajya atoranya ibyiza by'undi muco w'ahandi, akabizana incorporatinga mu bye, bikamugirira akamaro. Ibibi akabisiga. Imyitwarire mibi idakwiriye umwana w'umunyarwanda, idakwiriye tukayireka kuko ntacyo yatumarira. So I just want to go on to the role of the youth in rebuilding of Rwanda, like they requested, that I should also highlight that rising from ashes to a dignified and resilient country we are today, it's also taking a lot of efforts. Like I said, the generation of those young people that destroyed this nation, a generation of young people who liberated this nation, and you, the generation that is building and sustaining this nation, we have seen young people participating across in the whole transformation journey and their full involvement in all social and economic activities. I just want to highlight few, to mention but a few. We see young people participating in the dialogue for policy formulation and decision making. If you follow the national dialogue, the youth connective platforms that involve young people, even those in diaspora, many itorero that we will hear from other young people speaking the same. We want to involve young people to be part and parcel of all the discussions, all the decisions, because if we talk about 2050, who is going to be there? It is you young people. So you have to participate now and tell us, because you'll be the witness and you'll be the implementers of all this. We have young people promoting entrepreneurship and innovations, especially in this COVID period. We had young people coming up to innovate hand sanitizers, create awareness about this disease and the pandemic and how can prevent it. They've been at the forefront with innovations, but also generating income and revenue, e-commerce businesses that are supplying foodstuff and all home needs. They distribute them at home. It's young people who are doing this. So they've been taking advantage of this situation, but also being innovative in responding to the challenges that we might have. Young people are also participating in agribusiness and the whole value chain of agriculture. They have a forum called Rwanda Youth in Agribusiness Forum. They're in all the value chain of agriculture, but in no means. When we started this program with the Minister of Agriculture, we're thinking, will young people like this program? But when they brought in their innovation, it made it very nice. And we started a program we called Agriculture is Cool. And everyone wanted to see how cool it is. And now they've made it very cool because they're into production, they're into fertilizers distribution, they're into kongera umusaruro mu mirima, supporting amakoperative.
I think there has been a technical issues.
Yep.
Which is expected with this virtual conversation. But as soon as she gets back, we are definitely going to connect back with her. Meanwhile, we're going to welcome our next entertainer. Kajeje is one of the leaders in the Swedish community here in Sweden. She is 22 years old.
Do you hear me now?
Yes, ma'am. We can hear you.
Sorry about that. I don't know where did I stop? Where did I stop? I can't remember, but I will just continue where I was. I don't know how long I was off. I just wanted to talk about the contribution of young people at the center of transformation. And I mentioned that they are into COVID-19 prevention, they are into entrepreneurship, they are into agribusiness and environmental protection, they are in peacekeeping missions, promotion of Made in Rwanda. So they are across all spectrums of our economy. So what we want to request from the young people abroad or in diaspora, especially the Nordic countries that we are speaking today, we encourage you, as we kept on saying, that to have the will and enthusiasm to know your roots. Igiti kidafite imizi ntikirama. Namwe u Rwanda ni imizi yanyu. U Rwanda, it is your roots. Nurture it, water it, weed it, and let it flourish. Ubone nk'u Rwanda nk'igiti gifite ukene nk'ururabyo rwiza cyane ugomba kuhira, ukaruha amazi, ukaruha ifumbire. That is Rwanda, and that is your root. So if you do that to your country, you're doing it to yourself. Secondly, we encourage you to learn, as they said it earlier, Ikinyarwanda ni ururimi rworoshye kwiga pe. Mwaruvuga mu rugo yagorana ubanza kwishyiramo ko bishoboka. Ukavuga uti kukivuga birashoboka no kugisoma birashoboka. Nubanza kumva ko bishoboka bizashoboka. Ariko nukomeza uvuga uti ntibishoboka n'ubundi mentally psychologically bitabidashoboka. So speak it, be proud of it. Muhange imishinga ishingiye ku muco wacu. Create revenue, create wealth out of our culture, our language. Put up online platforms that are linking Rwanda in tourism, abashaka gusura u Rwanda, in agricultural products, abashaka kohereza ibihingwa by'iwacu nabonye bimaze kugera ahantu henshi cyane. Oh my God. I don't know if you can hear me.
Yes, we can.
Quickly. Do you hear me?
We can hear you.
Yes, we can hear
I
you.
want to hear you.
Turakumva.
You disappeared.
They're fixing it. So, dear participants, while we wait for the minister to fix the technical part, I don't know how you are feeling, but it's really exciting what she's saying. And I hope you are really taking notes, and there are some parts in Kinyarwanda, and this is again a challenge for you to learn Kinyarwanda, to ask your parents or the one who are with you speak Kinyarwanda. But I think it would be interesting because she used some terms that are really interesting, like Inkomeza Mihigo, and this is your generation. So maybe our moderator, she will, we can together think loudly how we can translate Inkomeza Mihigo. So there are many words in this one. There is one gukomeza, to continue. Imihigo, how can you translate imihigo? Are they goals?
Targets?
Deborah.
Your Excellency,
Yes.
it can be translated as goals.
Goals, yes. So it means you are the generation who is supposed to continue the goals and or maybe reach the goals started by the previous generation. I hope you heard it, that the previous generation was the generation of Inkotanyi, who liberated the country and stabilized the country and started the rebuilding journey. So now you are the next generation to take over and continue this started journey. So you are Inkomeza Mihigo. So just write down and always keep in mind, if we want the Inkomeza Mihigo, you will know that we want you, the youth, to come and participate and be with us.
Okay.
The other word she used is...
Do you hear me?
Minister is back. Yes, welcome back, Minister.
Do you hear me, Ambassador?
Yes, we hear you, Honorable Minister. We don't see you, but we hear you. Honorable Minister, do you hear us? No.
Goretti, can you be here? What's
You now our discussions while waiting for the minister. So the other word she used is indangamirwa. So Deborah or any other youth here on the platform who can translate indangamirwa? Deborah, do you think you can help?
Excellency, I think Indangamirwa can be exemplary people or people that look up to.
Very good, very good. Yes, yes, Indangamirwa, yes, exemplary people is good. It means that wherever you are, people shall look at you and take an example from you, and somehow directly see the difference between you and the youth around, I would say, because of your Rwandan values and your Rwandan identity. So you as a Gachiro generation is what you stand for. But now I'm already telling you the responses the minister was asking and waiting for you to give her, but you can start thinking about it and what you stand for and what you cannot stand for.
Thank you so much, Your Excellency. Part of my answer was I'm an Agachiro. I stand for Agachiro wherever I am. But as you named it, that's mostly the foundation of what we stand for as this generation. And the Honorable Minister mentioned also 7 things that are important. The reason why we as young people are valued in Rwanda. And the first one was that we are Rwandans' hands, Turamaboko y'u Rwanda, as she said. Our skills are very needed and important. Our innovations, considering where we are, the countries we are in that are developing, we could innovate ourselves with our own ideas or just introduce the innovations that are in these countries to our country. And the very important that I got from these 7 important points is the positive energy, which is what we need. We're not hold hostage of our past or the bad history from our country, though we are urged to know about it, but we are not captives of the negativity that comes with it. This is very important for me because, yes, I stand on the positive energy. The 5th point was enthusiasm, curiosity. Why is it that things are done this way? And most of the problems or the solutions to most problems are actually found in actually asking yourself, why is this done this way? Why is this like this? So our enthusiasm as young people are one of the reasons why we are actually valued by our country. The 6th point was the will. We are willing to do. We are willing to act. We are willing to take action. Point was adaptability, the way we adapt, the way we easily adapt, which is very clear for us in the Nordic countries. I am sure it's not very easy for us in the Nordic countries to adapt as fast or as much as in other countries where people can speak English or French freely. Here we have different languages, people that have not actually seen or welcomed many immigrants before. So the way we actually adapt ourselves shows that we are capable of actually uh, adapting as well in any situation or any difficult situation.
Thank
Honorable
you,
Minister,
Deborah.
yes.
Thank you so much. Minister is back, but thank you very much also for this nice summary for our young people. But I think we can give back the floor to the minister. She's back.
Thank you.
Apologies, Ambassador. Apologies.
No problem.
I don't know what is happening. Normally, it's not like this. But Deborah is very brilliant. I was following. I heard what they stand for. I heard what the 7 points and relating to the current situation. Thank you, Deborah. Very brilliant. Nuzazi shiga uzaze mugurire bombo. Thank you so much. I was just, I finished when we were talking about the Rwandan youth abroad. What would be your contribution? We encourage you to learn and have the will and enthusiasm to know your roots. Mvuga yuko igiti kidafite imizi ntikirama kiruma. U Rwanda ni imizi yanyu. Your roots, nurture it, water it, weed it, and let it flourish. The second was to encourage you to learn Kinyarwanda, twari twabivuze. Create some platforms that links you to Rwanda, whether platform for tourism. When people want to visit from the Nordic countries to Rwanda or Africa, can you position Rwanda and they visit Rwanda first? Agricultural products that we have, cultural products that we have, but also you can create cultural dance, songs, and entertain in your communities can be also a source of revenue. Ikindi nk'indangamirwa z'u Rwanda, mwebwe muri indangamirwa, which can loosely be translated as goodwill ambassadors. You have two missions: gushakira u Rwanda imbuto n'amaboko. Imbuto n'amaboko bivuze imbuto ni nka seed, genda ukureyo ubumenyi n'imbuto, genda ukureyo abafatanyabikorwa n'amaboko, partners n'amaboko. So mwebwe mudushakire imbuto n'amaboko, mushaka ubumenyi n'izo mbuto, mushaka abafatanyabikorwa, mushake resources, ayo ni amaboko, n'imbuto n'amaboko. Muracyanyumva cyangwa nagiye?
No, we hear you.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, thank you. We also we are working on digitizing Kinyarwanda materials for easy use, speaking, writing, and listening. This program, we are developing it with the Ministry of ICT and Innovation. This program aims at leveraging technology to promote and preserve Kinyarwanda in Rwanda and abroad. It will consist of availing different applications, web-based and mobile applications, facilitating users in different ways, including spelling check, autocorrection, machine translation, automatic summarization, question answering, speech recognition, and all that. So we are working on that just to benefit you. There are also several initiatives promoting Rwanda's culture, history in different communities abroad, and they include, we have a Mateka series that started with the embassy in Singapore and Perth in Australia, talking about our culture and our language clubs. Also, we have language clubs and culture clubs in Germany and others. And also the one that you're working on right now and what you've developed, like this platform, is commendable. So we commend such efforts and encourage that different communities borrow a leaf from them and yourselves, what you're doing, and we are ready to support in any way needed. So take your time and think about your personal role as one of Rwanda's valuable voices. How can you make that voice heard more loudly and clearly? How can you export and communicate Rwandan values, dignity where you live? We need your commitment to be good ambassadors of the country through your associations and also use of social media platforms to counter falsehoods about Rwanda by sharing what is true. Because there's also social media that is there talking about this and that, non-existent things, and all these things that are really painting what in this current world they call fake news and all that. How can we bring the right news, not people to really consume fake news when you have the news that you can share? In conclusion, I don't know if I'm still there.
You are the Honorable Minister.
Thank you. I think I'm already worried about
only
okay,
the camera is not on. Sorry to disturb.
it refused actually. It doesn't connect. I think we're limited, but it's okay as long as you can hear the voice.
Absolutely.
Our heroes gave it all, including their lives. Mu Kinyarwanda baca umugani nabyo mubyumve ngo wima igihugu amaraso imbwa zikayanywera ubusa. Wima igihugu amaraso akamenekera ubusa. So people can give their life. If it requires even giving your life, why not for your country? That is back to what do you stand for? Your task as young people now is to be determined We must be vigilant and guard the achievements attained. We need to work harder, double our efforts to double the accomplishments of our leaders. Mu ndirimbo y'igihugu tujya turirimba ngo ukoreshe ubwenge, umutima n'amaboko yanyu mu kubaka u Rwanda. You use your knowledge, you use your heart and your strength. Ubwenge, amaboko n'umutima. Iyo ukoresheje kimwe ikindi kidahari hari bipfa. Iyo ukoresheje bibiri ikindi kidahari hari bipfa. Ariko ukoresheje ubwenge, umutima n'amaboko, the knowledge, the heart and amaboko, the strength that you have, wubaka igihugu cyacu as it is in our national anthem. So as I conclude Ingomeza Mihigo, like they said, Ingomeza gukomeza to strengthen the goals, cyangwa imihigo ni nk'uko avuga performance that we aim at achieving. Kuba indashyikirwa mu bumenyi n'ikoranabuhanga, that is innovation. Ingomeza Mihigo to be innovators. Kuba umurinzi w'ibyagezeho, kubaka focus on sustainability of the nation. Guharanira kwigira no kwihesha agaciro, resilience. Then tukaba ku isonga mu kubaka u Rwanda na Afrika, dutangiriye iwacu u Rwanda, then tukagera na Afrika yose. Nagira ngo nsoze cyane, murakoze cyane. Thank you very much. Merci beaucoup. Kitos. Tag. Tag. Dank. Thank you. Back to you, moderator.
Murakoze cyane, Honorable Minister. It was very inspiring and empowering. I think I summarized a bit in the middle. And what I can add on to the summary I gave is that we should build our country with knowledge, with heart, our heart, which means our love for the country and also our strength. Remembering that we are the ambassadors of dignity and values of Rwandans and Rwanda wherever we are. Turindangamirwa, exemplary, and we are also Ingomeza Mihigo. We enforce the goals or the performances wherever we are. So we are goal-oriented, which is why we should know who we are and what we want in the future as Rwandans. Right now, our next performer is Kajeje, a 22-year-old young lady from Sweden that is going to be dancing our traditional dance, which is one of the things that identifies ourselves and makes the difference. It's our traditional dance. And I hope as we learn how to speak in Rwanda, we also learn how to dance our traditional dance. Kajeje is also a trainer. She can teach you from wherever we are, as this COVID has shown us that there are no limits. We can do all things regardless the distance. So let's welcome Kajeje, 22 years old from Sweden, for the traditional dance performance. That was amazing. Thank you so much, Kajaje, for the video of the traditional dance. We are looking forward to learn more from you and to be trained by you as the youth in these Nordic countries as we stand for our values and agachiro generations that we are. Um, the next program is followed by a poem citing by Brandon Kamana from Sweden, and the poem has been written by two people, Michaela Rugwizangoga and Maurice Morenzi.
Deborah, sorry ni Jose. Reka dukurikizeho sangwa ari tayari, turaza gushyiraho poeme nyuma. Urakoze.
All right, okay. As said, let us welcome our guest speaker, Sangwa, a youth that was part of the diaspora and that came back home to inspire us. Thank you, you're welcome.
Hi, everyone. My name is Sangwa Gwauhihi. I'm really excited to be here with you today. It's 16 degrees right now in Kigali. Feels a bit cold for us, not for you. But then I feel a bit connected to what's happening in the Nordics. So before I get to talk about myself, I wanted to thank everybody, the ambassador, honorable minister. I believe that independently of your identities and where you're coming from and your backgrounds, there is a reason why you're here today. You're here today because there's something inside of you that happens when you hear the word Rwanda. You're here today because you have a lot of questions going through your mind, especially in these times of uncertainties. Should I stay in where I am? Should I move back to Rwanda? Will I fit in? What is home for me? And how can I make these different identities that are inside of me work with each other and fit with each other? So my job here is very simple. I don't have answers to all questions, but I want to share with you my own perspective on why I think you can fit in this new Rwanda and how you can design a life where you can become your truly self. So before I move on, a little bit about myself. So I was born in Dakar, Senegal. For those of you who know, very beautiful country in West Africa. And then that's where my father went to school. And then when I was 6 years old, I moved to Cameroon in a small town somewhere close to Nigeria. I have like the best childhood memories there, the food, the music. And then when I was 9, I moved to Switzerland with my sister. I stayed in a small village in the Alps. I didn't learn how to ski, but I can make some really good raclette. And then after 2 years in Switzerland, I finally went back to Rwanda. I remember the first moments were really emotional. I could speak only 2 words of Kinyarwanda, Amata Namazi, I think. And I had all these cousins that I didn't know and all these uncles and aunts. It took me a while to speak Kinyarwanda. I went to high school, reconnected with the country. And then when I was 20 years old, I moved to Germany. And as you know, like just Germany, like the countries we are in, you have to learn the language. You have to get along with the people. I ended up staying 10 years in Germany, 5 years as a student, and then 5 years working as an engineer I was in the auto industry, working for Daimler, in the medical industry as well for the Bosch Group. And then 4 years ago, I decided to come back home. First of all, as an entrepreneur, and then I was working for a tech company, and now I am the head of a startup incubator. So the reason why I'm saying this, as you can see, my identity is a bit West African, it's a bit Rwandan, it's a bit Swiss, it's a bit German. It's a combination of all of that, and I'm sure that you guys can relate to this. So let's talk about identity. I think the minister said a lot already. I'm not going to repeat that, and the ambassador as well. I just want to say very quickly two things. I think connecting to your country can happen in two ways. There is a very emotional connection. That's the one that speaks to your soul, to your spirit. These are the values that were mentioned: the decency, the respect, the audacity, the faith in the future. And then there is a more practical connection, I would say. That's the one that feeds your body. That's the music you listen to. That's the food you're eating. That's the way you decorate your house. So all of these things are more tangible, things that you can feel, touch, smell. So I want to explore something with you. Think of your life as a design project, and you are the designer of your life. When you think like that, the first thing that may come to your mind, or the first question you might ask yourself is, do I want to stay in the Nordics, or do I want to move back? Now, I think that's a very personal decision, and sometimes we tend to look at it in a very binary way. It has to be one or the other. Personally, I think that one, if you decide to come back, nobody stops you from going back to where you are after 5 years, living there for another 10 years, maybe going to somewhere else in the world. So that's one. You're not stuck anywhere. The second thing is, even if you decide to come home, there's a high chance that you get an activity that makes you travel around. I have friends that are in art, in business, in government here in Rwanda, but they are constantly traveling, a conference in Dakar, a science exhibition in Cape Town, a business trip to Dubai. So you're not stuck here. You would be based in Rwanda, and in fact, you may have, like in the first company I was working for, I had Japanese colleagues. I had to travel to the Middle East. So Rwanda is actually your home, but it's your base, right? The third thing is, because of this new pandemic, there are new possibilities that we didn't explore before. I have a few friends who came back from the US and from Canada. They were here for vacation. And guess what? They decided to stay here and started to work remotely for the companies they work for. So that is now becoming possible. I personally work for a German organization that is based in Berlin. And I work with them like remotely on a daily basis. In fact, the funny thing is that I've made more contacts in Germany in the last 2 years than in the 10 years that I was in Germany. So I'm speaking now to members of parliament, I'm speaking to people in the business community. So my point is that coming home doesn't mean that you are disconnected from where you are. In fact, it's just something that is more complementary to your life today. Now, still talking about designing your life, you might ask yourself, how do I make these different identities work for me? Because as much as you want to get to know your Rwandan parts, you're not going to erase who you are and where you came from, right? So one thing that maybe you're not aware of is that Rwanda is becoming also more cosmopolitan. I have friends that are African students who came here to Kigali. I have friends who are German, French, Belgians who came to start their own businesses here. And in the beginning, I felt a bit uncomfortable, not comfortable hanging out with them because I was like, after all, I came to rediscover my roots and my country. But then with time, I realized that it doesn't have to be A or B, right? It doesn't have to be black and white. You can be uh, you can be, excuse me, you can be actually A and B, and sometimes C and D, right? You may enjoy um, makossa from Cameroon, like I do, and traditional Rwandan dance, right? You can enjoy ichivuguto, and at the same time you enjoy Italian wine. So one it might sound like a contradiction to some people, but the way you design and the way you combine these things and make it work for you is very personal. It's about your life, and this is something that you can also do in Rwanda. So, sorry. One thing that I also realized with time living here is that my identity grew also beyond the things that we just mentioned. For instance, my sense of fulfillment. Um, I just last week I took the road to Bugesera, and and I realized that the road was actually built by a neighbor of mine that is a civil engineer. Um, and then before I knew it, I got also flashed by a radar. That was not so funny. And that was actually a friend of mine as well who actually designed this radar and installed it. So you get to see every day the result of your work and the work of your friends, of people that you're around with, and that is a sense of fulfillment that I didn't experience when I was in Germany. The second thing is maybe thinking big. I think the minister mentioned that already. I remember coming here, starting my business, and wanting to do a Rwandan product for a Rwandan audience with a Rwandan customers. Um, and I realized that Rwanda today is actually innovating in a lot of ways. Um, I give you one example. There's an event I went to at Marriott last year, and it was an award ceremony. And when I looked around the room, I think we were just 3 Rwandans in the entire room. Why? Because it was the event organizers were from Cote d'Ivoire. The people that were being awarded were from West Africa. The speakers were from, I can't remember. So Rwanda today is like a platform where people come from all over the world, and they actually use Rwanda as a place to do their things. Now imagine what you can do as well if you, let's say you want to make pineapple juice and export it to Djibouti. How about you, if you don't find the pineapple in Rwanda, you can import it from Cote d'Ivoire. You can package it in Rwanda. You can sell it somewhere else. If you're into music, I have a friend who organizes private events. She brings Nigerian wealthy people for a weekend in Lake Kivu. She brings like a singer from Kenya to entertain them. The possibilities are just endless. And the fact that we have the infrastructure for that, we have hotels for that, we have an airline for that, there's so much that we can do. So I won't be long, but I want to say one thing that is really important. As much as transitioning is an exciting experience, you have also moments of doubts, of misunderstandings, because you're trying to control everything, and you forget that the only thing that you can really control is yourself, right? I had the experience, whether you're working with your colleagues and you're speaking to them, or you are entering a building, asking for a service. At the end of the day, you are speaking to people, human beings like you. So if you are self-aware and you are emotionally intelligent, you can get anything done. If somebody calls you Muzungu, for instance, you will not feel offended, but instead you will understand that it's just a mechanism of protection sometimes, or it's a way to engage the conversation. You will not feel rejected, but instead you will turn the conversation, maybe bring out a joke, and just completely change the dynamic. I also experiences moments where you're at work, maybe somebody wants to tell you to use a different management style that you're not used to, and then your first reaction is to say, no, that's not possible. But instead, when you grow up and you realize that what you can say is instead, okay, I'm ready to try your way, but if it doesn't work, let's try my way. So that's emotional intelligence. That's you finding ways to go around things, not losing yourself, but also being open to learn new things. So that is very, very important. So if there is one thing that you should keep from my talk, is that your greatest asset when you come back home is not your bank account or the amount of diplomas that you have, but it's really your emotional intelligence. And I believe that the more you learn about it, if you've not started yet, the more you'll be able to enjoy your identity and discover your true self. So with that, I will just close here, and I will encourage you to follow some of the people on Twitter. The organization I work for, we realized that there are a lot of diaspora people in the Sudanese in Kigali right now. So organizing also a few trainings that are very practical about finance, if you want to come back home, land, all these things. Of course, we cannot touch on all these things today. We're talking more about identity. But if you have more questions, feel free to reach to us, and we'll be announcing some of the trainings that we have online. And again, thank you, Ambassador. Thank you, Ministers. Thank you, Deborah. I'll be glad to have questions with you a bit later.
Indeed, a well-deserved applause for this inspiring conversation that we've just had with you, Sangwa. Thank you very much. After this talk, I reminded myself of what I've been there. I was in Kigali in December, and I was very impressed by different ideas that I saw people took over there. For example, they have Move. Move can be, it's like Uber. I was very impressed that even in my own city, we don't have Uber. in Yeble. But then in Kigali, they have what we call Move that work like Uber. I was very interested. It was very interesting, and I was very impressed by it. They also have a kebab house. Can you imagine? I was very impressed by all those different innovations that I found in Kigali when I was there. It always feels good to be back home. The very first few days, I can tell you, it's not easy, even as a, if you come to visit your family members or just for touristic visitation, it still feels kind of strange and different. But with time, when you hear people around you speaking Kinyarwanda for a while now, you really feel back at home, and it's interesting. You are motivated to actually come back and do something. I can't wait. As soon as I get my degree, I'll be consulting you, Sangwa, for more details. Yes, as Sangwa said, the most resources that we have when we go back is emotional intelligence. So we have to cultivate that. And as we study, as we go through different stages of life or education in Sweden or anywhere else in these Nordic countries, remember, emotional intelligence is the most important asset that you have when considering going back or actually working in connections with people over there. So as said, the next point or the next event is Brian Kamana's citing poem that was written by Michaela Rugwizangoga and Maurice Murenzi.
Beautiful homeland, beautiful land, hills and valleys, and even the lakes. Everything so attractive to fall in love with. My nation, my homeland so peaceful with the nicest people around. Unity, harmony, and understanding each other are our major keys. Genda Rwanda inziza. 26 years ago, Rwanda has embraced servant leadership that leaves no one behind. Dignity and prosperity is our motto. Dufite ubuyobozi bwiza bukorera abaturage. We the youth will continue to work hard for the development of our beloved nation. We will proudly keep on moving to our future that we know holds good and better for us. We will never disappoint you, motherland. We won't bear for those who curse and wish you bad, just wanting to destroy your nature and your beauty. We will never give up on you at any cost. God bless the universe, the people, and my Rwanda from the past to the present, and from the present to the future. We project ourselves into the new. I am, we are Rwanda. My identity, my future, ndi umunyarwanda, agaciro kacu, murakoze cyane. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Brian Kamana. He's also a young adult. He's a teenager, 18 years old, that lives in Sweden. And the poem that he just cited was written by Michaela Rugwizangoga and Maurice Murenzi. Thank you. So the next part is also as interesting as all the others. It's the question and answers time. We've heard a lot. We've been inspired by Her Excellency the Ambassador, Honorable Minister, and also Sangwa. So right now, would like to actually receive questions, and if you have any question that you'd like to direct to anyone, you can kindly do that in any language you are comfortable in. We have translators that will be translating English to Swedish to English to this
We can
segment.
hear you.
Sorry.
We can
Just
hear you.
just
Yes, as I was saying, can you hear me?
We hear you.
Yes, yes.
Thank you. So the Q&A, you can actually ask a question in your comfortable language that you prefer. We have letters Swedish to English, Christelle Ishimwe from Sweden. We have Finnish and English, Segor. We have Norwegian and English, Sandra Uwase Muhingana. We have Danish and English, Patrick or Christelle from Denmark. So you have the opportunity to ask your question through the chat. You can write your question in the chat and we'll be reading it out. And remember, you can actually ask in your comfortable language, any language that you like to ask your question in. The floor is all ours. It's a virtual conversation. Yes, I see Florence Mukamana raising your hand.
I was just want to ask, like, turabizi abenshi bumva uruzungu, but I don't know if yanjye yambwiye ntabwo yumva uruzungu rwinshi because muri gukoresha uruzungu rwinshi, so I don't know.
Are you requesting that we use Kinyarwanda only?
No, it's like nyine muri gukoresha uruzungu rwinshi, so ntabwo bize tuvuze nko mu rugero abumva uruzungu ni bangahe, like, so I don't know, it was just a question.
I think everyone here the majority can speak English and can hear English. If there is anyone with a problem, you can write on the chat. We'll try to fix it. Thank you.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah. The floor is yours, Enoch.
Okay, thank you. And my question is to Sangwa. I don't remember if you spoke about it, but maybe if you can just elaborate on your decision to relocate from being diaspora and what made you decide to relocate. What were the considerations in that aspect? Thank you.
Thank you, Enoch. Can you also mention your country, where you are?
Yes, I am in Copenhagen, Denmark.
Okay. Hi, Enoch. I've not yet been to Denmark, but I hope that if I come, I won't have to pay in a hotel room and you'll be able to host me.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah, so I think for me, I think it's again a very personal decision, and for me, I was turning close to 30 years old, and I could see a lot of the people that I knew in Rwanda getting into, independently of what they were doing, whether they were in art, in business, in government, having responsibilities that I couldn't get in Germany, being, I don't know, you can, when you're in Rwanda, you can actually tweet to a minister, like an honorable minister who is here, and you can have a meeting with her and chat with her. I felt really welcomed, and I felt that there were more opportunities for me, especially at at that young age. In Germany, it was more like you need to get like to 50 years old before you become a manager of something. And I had big ambitions. And yeah, so that's probably the first reason. And then there are things like family and I love the climate of Rwanda. I love the safety and disasters. And I also wanted to connect to what we're talking about identity. I think it was important to be in the place and really feel it from the inside. But it doesn't have to be the case for everybody. I think it's a very personal.
Thank you for the answer.
Thank you so much. You are still welcome to ask any question in any language that you are comfortable with.
Any German speaker here?
Yes, you're welcome. The things
Can I
are
ask a question?
translating when the questions come in German.
Sure.
Adol, do you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, I'm Jean-Claude from Denmark. I don't have a question, but I have an idea I want to share with my Rwandan friends. I saw the Chinese here, they have a platform, like they use wherever they go, like in Europe or in US, where they share the jobs, opportunity, or other like the accommodation. So they have a platform where you can like choose the country and choose if there is a job you wanna, like you looking at the job or accommodation. So I think it's a good idea if maybe we have that kind of platform. So I'm just saying like here, like maybe if anyone who interested to do so, something like that, maybe they can get that idea so we can have that platform as well. Yep.
Thank you so much. I would like actually to welcome Dr. Ngoga and Jonas Quizel to help me out with the questions in the chat and people raising their hands so that the Q&A session can go smoothly.
Thank you, moderator. We have one question so far from Herbert Shema. And the question is addressed to Mr. Sangwa. Could you write down where we can reach you? Email? I think Mr. Sangwa will. Yes, Sangwa.
You should unmute. Sangwa, you are muted. Oh.
Sangwa, you are muted. Sorry.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Sure. I will definitely leave my contacts in the team chat, and then website and phone number. Maybe just quickly on the idea of the skills. I think it's quite a good idea. Just want to say that there are already a few websites in Rwanda that you can visit. And then RDB also has a department of skills. Elodie Rusera is the one in charge. She's coming up with a database of people who are overseas and who want to come back home. There are also private companies, HR companies in Rwanda. I work with one that's called ATM Africa, and they reach out to also young Rwandans who are overseas and who want to come back. Yeah, so I think it's a great idea to create your platform, but just wanted to mention that as well.
Yes, you're welcome, Dr. Nganga.
Yes, another question came in. First of all, I have to thank Sangwa for joining us today. It's an opportunity that everybody should be really proud of because you are a very good example. You've been our neighbor and you have you come from humble beginning and you are now where you are today. Thank you so much, Sangwa. The question came in is from a young aspiring engineer or someone involved in engineering that is asking how the incubator you are currently heading, does it have a room for electrical engineering aspirants? And there are a lot of challenges that one meets because of lack of financial capital, and also to engage in business needs a lot of a starting point that maybe one is not ready to embrace. What kind of ideas or experience that you can share with that person? Thank you.
Yes, so thanks. The startup hub I'm running has about 50 companies. These are startups in different sectors, everything from green growth to IT to financial services. So you can access there. You have a co-working space with a nice view of Kigali. You organize also events. You can network. Also connect you to potential investors. So if you have an idea that's in engineering, there are different types of investors, depending on the level that you are in. There are also investors coming from Nairobi a lot who are coming to us asking who they can work with. We have people from Johannesburg, from the US. So you can get, I don't want to get into specifics here, but tickets, everything from 100,000 USD to $1 million USD. So there are businesses actually like that which are raising this type of money. So right now is a good time to be a startup in Rwanda. There's COVID going on, so maybe you might want to stay to wait for a few months. But in 2019, I know at least 10 startups that raised more than 500,000 US dollars. So if you have something going on, please reach out. We'll try to help as much as we can.
Thank you so much. We will take more questions after inputs from different youth as well that are going to be telling us more from their community. We'll be receiving right now John from Finland. Christelle from Norway should be getting ready as soon after John's input as well. Serge will be coming after Christelle. Serge Kata from Denmark. Nshuti will also be following Serge Kata, and Arnold Turagara will also be following Nshuti. I would like to remind also, well, I should not remind this because we are in the Nordic countries. We know the concept of time more than any others. So you're welcome. The floor is yours.
Where is John? Is John here?
John is here. John is here. I'm not sure my lighting is working or the speakers are coming through. You guys can hear me?
We hear you.
Yes, John.
Very good. Very good. All right. So I'll make this quick. My name is John, and briefly, I will just share my story and a little bit about business life and becoming an entrepreneur in Nordic countries and specifically in Finland. So I'm John. I run a small coffee business. I'm a coffee roaster, and I bring coffee, some coffee directly from Rwanda, and I have different other sources. And so I put on the market. But enough with John's Coffee. And I thought I should maybe share a little bit of the experience of becoming an entrepreneur, of running your own business in Finland, for example. As we all know, becoming an entrepreneur has its own challenges, and it's one of the reasons that actually many people choose to stay in the comfort zones, being employed, or choose other ways that seem much easier, because running or starting a business in an environment, in a culture where you are not originally from, can be challenging. It can be a little bit of, it brings doubts, and so from that point, you question many things. You question from the start and the goals and where to go. So yeah, that's something that I believe that definitely puts many talents and creativity on hold, and it happens all the time. Someone has an idea, someone has a creativity, a talent, and they can talk about it for years, and they see it happening, they see the potential in it, but still somehow hesitate to get started with it. And there are so many things involved to actually start it off from scratch and get it going. So my advice, speaking from my own experience, is that there's a lot of, with technology advancement happening right now at this high pace. It's advancing really fast, but at the same time, it comes with opportunities. I decided to do coffee because basically it wasn't really, I didn't do it as an ambitious business person. It was more from passion. So I'm passionate about coffee, and I love my country. I love Rwanda. And when I moved to Finland and realized that actually Finns are the highest per capita drink coffee, they consume the highest coffee in the world. So I thought, Rwandan coffee is growing. The quality is excelling all over the world. Every year, it was like year after year in competitions, and Rwandan coffee was doing great. So I thought, okay, Rwanda produces coffee, Finland consumes coffee, so that's a very good start. And as long as I'm also passionate, and it's a good start. So I would say, do not hesitate yourself. It's very challenging, and it's full of suspicion. You would definitely run into even friends and family discourage you into getting started. So do it. I'm not sure I'm still on. Can everyone?
Yes, Johnny, you're still on.
Oh, okay, sorry. Yeah, there's some background noise. Someone is speaking on the phone or something. And yeah, so get there are a lot of benefits into being an entrepreneur. There's independent thinking. There's becoming an entrepreneur provides you with a long lifetime skill. It's not just about running a business, but you actually learn so many things that help you in your life as well. You need to really be a positive mindset. You need to be. There's a lot of patience involved, especially right now. If you look at the situation we are all going through, COVID-19 is a global crisis, and it's putting so many things. Businesses are closing. It's scaring many new entrepreneurs, those who had ideas and they're looking at the market, and no one wants to take the risk. So get mentors, people who can advise you on how to get started. Because if you want to get things right, you need advice. You need to get mentors, people who can get startup houses. There are so many in local countries. Every country has got so many of those. Many of them are government state funded. They are free. Participate, do your homework, collect information, because it's not always about any business. Businesses are not always about investments. Because I know people think everyone is thinking about finance. How do I get started? I need money, big amount to get started. But that's not.
Yes, John.
Yeah. So
Yes.
please put whatever it is you know how to do into action and do your homework, because there is so much you can get. There is potential without big investment, financially speaking. So I don't know how much time I have, but if this, I won't take much of the time here. I appreciate this, the opportunity to be here and share my story. There is so much more I would like to share, but I mean, theory doesn't help. So there's much more. There's much more I'd like to share in practical terms. So please, anyone who's interested in the future, uh, I could leave my contacts, and if you want to get in touch, and if there's anything that I can help you get started in terms of details on how to get off the floor. So please do not hesitate to contact.
Yes, thank you so much, John.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you for inspiring us. Part of what Honorable Minister said is that we should build our country with knowledge. And I think we need that knowledge from people that have already done something. So we're looking forward for the next conversation. It should be about entrepreneurship, and this should be our guest.
Anytime. All right,
Yes.
cheers.
Thank you. Thank you so much. The next speaker is Christelle. Is going to talk to us about the young Rwandan women in Norway.
Yes, hello. My name is Christelle Mohoza. I'm Higana. I'm 23 years old, and I was born and raised in Norway. I'm going to speak a little bit about my story with my identity and how my future is, and yeah, what I'm doing currently. When I was younger, I was lucky that my parents took me to Rwanda almost every year. However, there was a dilemma with my identity, who I was, who I wanted to be, what my values are. I felt Norwegian due to me living in Norway, and I felt Norwegian due to living in Norway, and this being the country I called home. However, I still felt that there was something missing, as I was surrounded with the Rwandese culture, language, and the values. At home, we spoke Kinyarwanda, ate traditional food, and we were taught how to dance and how to be with family and the family values. It was amazing. It was amazing how to spread between two cultures, one at home and a different one at school. With my friends and in the neighborhood, I felt growing up that I was living a double life with a different culture at home and a different culture outside, which was confusing and made me question a lot. When I was 12 years old, my family moved temporarily from Norway to Rwanda, and in the beginning, I have to admit it took me some time to adjust. I was enrolled in a beautiful school of Green Hills Academy, where the people we met were welcoming from our classmates and teachers. We had an amazing neighborhood in Kagarama Kichikiro with wonderful neighbors that we could visit unannounced, and a gang of kids my age that we made our lives fantastic. It felt good to be at home. The first week was a mild cultural shock, due to everything being so different from what I grew up with, even though my family were striving to keep the Rwandese culture. So I had no choice than to combine the two cultures, but my Rwandan identity came out as a winning part. It was a truly a blessing having the opportunity to move to Rwanda, because it built my identity and made me the person that I am today. It gave me the opportunity to know and live with aunties, cousins, uncle, to make good friends and live in a place where I didn't look different. I rode on a moto even though my parents didn't like it, but that's how I felt at home. I, par- I participated in many weddings, kwibuka, and many other traditional events. I was taught the culture and values that I took with me when I came back to Norway, which is being humble, resilient, determined, patient, and loving. Despite the horrific history Rwanda has had, it is one of the most loving places in the world. It is a beautiful country that I brag with my friends here in Norway. These are the things. These things are part of my identity, and that is why I always want to give back to my community. I decided to become a youth leader in Rwandan community in Norway to help my Rwandese youth that we share the same past and identity. And also, I want to remind them, even though on paper we are Norwegian, but by blood we are Rwandese. I'm also studying. I'm also studying child welfare pedagogy, which is related with children education and their psychology. And in doing so, I want to help families in Norway who have probably had a struggle to find the bridge between two cultures. I work part-time in health. I work part-time within healthcare, and I'm also an activist against racism. My drive was that other youth coming here to Norway will not feel alone or struggle due to their color or cultural values. I'm fighting for an anti-racist country by educating people and teaching them to compassion. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Estelle, for being an ambassador for our values in Norway. It is really, really honoring to hear that such people, especially young women over there, are representing us. Thank you so much. Now I would like to have some questions in between the conversations with the youth input. Right now, we would like to receive questions from the chat. And I would like to remind people to ask questions from chat as we are having this conversation. It will go smoothly because now we have Jonas Kwizera in charge of reading out the questions that were asked from the chat. Jonas Kwizera, the floor is yours.
Thank you, moderator. There's a question here. Mohire somewhere from Norway. He's asking things are required for someone to go kurugerero or ingando. I think the question is addressed to Honorable Minister. There's another one. Anwarit from Denmark. I want to ask this. Some of us, we know we are Rwandans, but we live outside of Rwanda with another background. So we are here in Europe with Congolese and Uganda background, but we know it's just on paper. How can we develop or build Rwandans and feel safe when we know our background are different?
I think we can take the first question that was addressed to Honorable Minister.
Yes.
Thank you very much. I was so impressed by the many questions and the concerns and entertainment. It was a well-spent evening. For the question of the first one, I think, which was raised, I think Sangwa mentioned and answered it very well about job opportunities. There is a portal on the website of RDB that shows the opportunities that are available back home, and the RDB, the Chief Skills Office has been putting together all the information so that you can reconnect, and wherever you see you have expertise that we need, you connect and apply, go through the processes. So you can check on our website of RDB, you will find it there. Ku kibazo kya Muhire from Norway, avuze ibintu bibiri, avuze ingando, it's now itorero, plus urugerero. Urugerero is national service. Itorero is ni gahunda dushyiraho. It's a program that we put in place to have civic engagement, to ensure that our young people, graduates from high school who are joining university, they also have this civic engagement Last year, actually, it was not possible because of COVID. We could not put together all young people in their respective districts so that they can have these exercises, kwiga, but also practical work, like constructing houses of vulnerable people, or kitchen garden, uturima tw'igikoni for malnutrition or for improving nutrition at home, constructing umuhanda, roads, constructing schools. It depends on the needs of those communities. That's where we focus on the energy of our young people after civic engagement or learning. So the requirements for you who are abroad, tubita indangamirwa ni muri ba ambasaderi b'u Rwanda. So we advertise. It goes through the website of the Ministry of Education, because most of you are students, and also from Itorero Commission, which is under our ministry, and they advertise. They say you can register and log on the website and put in your information where you're located, if you're in Kigali or if you're abroad. We always advertise and put on the websites, and you can fill the information and you can join us. So for this time, we've been disrupted by COVID-19. We have not done it for 2020. 2021, we're not yet sure of what happens, what lies ahead. But when this ceases or goes down, we are likely to have it again. So we will be announcing, we'll be informing. It also goes through the websites of our embassies, and you'll be getting information. I believe embassies also communicate to the Rwandan communities abroad so that you can participate. So it is open, you can know and hear about that. Urugerero, it's national service. How can you give back to your community? We welcome Urugerero or the national service. If you come from abroad or from your communities where you're best in the diaspora, we always want to hear if embassy can write to us and inform us. We're sending out these young people. Some of them are in medicine, others are engineers, or others are in early childhood development like Christella, and others we always want to know and see how do we connect you with the existing opportunities. So through the embassy, it would be very helpful, and that's why I want to emphasize that we keep working together with the embassy and take advantage of the skills you have and help us to develop back home.
There's another question, Honorable Minister. How sports and culture sector divided, and how can we get involved? Is there a direct contact for those who are interested to get involved? Thank you. It's Serge from chat here.
Okay, thank you, Serge.
Serge, Norway.
Okay,
Yes,
Serge
yes.
from Norway. Norway is very active. Okay. Thank you very much, Serge. You are asking about, I don't understand, what do you want to be involved in? Is it sports or culture? And any of those, maybe we would understand more. But why sports and culture was separated?
Yeah, before it was sport and culture was together, but now it's youth and culture. And why is the sects are divided? And how can we get involved? Is there any contacts direct contact for those who want to get involved in the development or in those sectors? Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Why we separated? I think it's a political decision, and the leadership saw it fit that, you recall, it used to be Minister of Youth, Sports and Culture. Maybe you would have asked from there, why was youth out of that? And then sports and culture alone, now culture and youth. So it used to be the Minister of Youth, Sports and Culture, but it was very important that with your number, we needed to have a specific attention of the young people, and then we can have sports and culture also continue working together. So we were trying to see what works best for the young people. So it became a Ministry of Youth only, a fully fledged Ministry of Youth for only young people. Then we had ICT, if you remember. It used to be called my ICT, so it used to be Ministry of Youth and ICT. That the decision was taken to ensure that we have young people with their energy, with their innovation. Let them drive ICT development or technology, because technology is for young people mostly. They are tech, they are savvy, and so they can do this better than anyone else. So for a period of over 5-6 years, it went back to the Ministry of Youth only. And in 2019, that's when we had sports and culture separated, and we had youth and culture and sports standing alone. So sports is a big sector in itself, and it has a lot of opportunities, especially for young people. We wanted to focus on how do we develop the sector of sports. And it could be a job creator itself. It could be supporting huge numbers of artists and athletes and people who can do better in that field. So a fully fledged ministry for sports was going to focus on how we can develop our country, especially sports development. So the Ministry of Youth and Culture also, we thought who should have this culture? We needed the culture to be owned by young people. Who should propel this culture further, and who could carry forward this legacy? Who can carry forward our identity? Who can carry forward the future that is based on who we are? It was the youth. They cannot take youth culture in the Ministry of Local Government, for example. They cannot take a Ministry of Culture itself, maybe in health. It can't. But where it fits perfectly, it is with the young people. So Ministry of Youth and Culture, it fits so well so that you can be the ambassadors of our culture. And that's why the young people decided to call our ministry My Culture. So Ministry of Youth and Culture. So they own it, My Culture, to feel it's mine. I'm proud of it. So the opportunities that are available, there are many. If you're an artist, I can see your background has ibishushanyo plastic art, and you look like an artist. You must be having a lot of passion. We have different federations, federation, for artists, those in plastic art, those in music, dance, and drama. We have federations for music itself is huge. We have also beautification and made in Rwanda. Modeling and all that, fashion. We have also that one for filming. We have for those for authors. So whichever field you feel you're comfortable with, we can liaise you or link you up with our federation. We have about 7 federations that make up all those components, categories of artists we have. But also for sports. If you're good in sports, whichever sports you're interested in, you can also, we have a lot of information on our websites. So you just go log on to the Primati or Prime Minister's office, you will see all the ministries. Or you can check www.myculture.gov.rw. You get information about the ministry. Or www.minisports.gov.rw. You get information from the Ministry of Sports and their federations, basketball, all different sports, football and the like, swimming, any field that you want. Rwanda is open. Amarembo yacu arafunguye kugira ngo muzane ubwo bumenyi bwanyu bwinshi cyane. Murakoze.
Thank you very much, Ian.
Thank you. We do have some questions here. My name is Geoffrey Asuman from Denmark. My question is addressed to the minister and ambassador. I play football here in Denmark in second division, and I would like to play for Rwanda's national team. So I'd like to ask the minister and ambassador for help with that.
I kept quiet and I was thinking minister will be responding, but definitely I didn't get the name of the young man.
It's Asuman.
Asman, okay. So
Geoffrey Asuman.
Geoffrey Asman. Geoffrey Asman, that's very good that you aspire to play for Rwanda. Please contact us, give us your contact details. We will put you in touch with our Ministry of Sports and with the Rwandan Football Federation. And then from there we will support, and I think also the Minister can maybe add something if she wishes.
Thank you, Ambassador. I thought you were closer to them so they can send the information. You are totally right that we want more young people with such talents. If you hear Amavubi is now in Cameroon. For Chad, they are playing. We look for talented young people elsewhere. When you go abroad, you're expert, you're excellent. We want to see you back as well. And you also put Rwanda on the top flag as a country that is good in football. With your talent, I think we can do much. So I don't have much information, but if we have that information about what you want, is a football, are you in academy, or the information that we can gather, we can pass it on to our ministry, sister ministry, the Ministry of Sports for follow-up.
The last question here on this session is Enoch Schutti from Denmark. The Minister of Youth talked about a platform they are working on together with Ministry of ICT. Can we get more information about that project? Thank you, Honorable.
Thank you, Enoch, for the interest. We talked about the project of digitizing Kinyarwanda. Gushyira ikinyarwanda mu isi y'ikoranabuhanga. Nimudasanga ikinyarwanda muziga icy'abandi. Niyo mpamvu twifuza gushyirayo ikinyarwanda mu isi y'ikoranabuhanga. It is a pilot project that we've started with. System ishobora gutranslating ikinyarwanda, ushobora kugisoma kikagukosora, niba wanditse mu ikoranabuhanga nk'uko ibyo ubona Siri n'abandi bakabaza ngo ikijumba ni iki, akagusobanurira ngo ikijumba ni ikinyampeke cyangwa ni ikinya, bakagusobanurira icyo bivuze kugira ngo mukiga ikinyarwanda. Ariko also we were working on different levels of teaching Kinyarwanda, the starters, medium na high level or advanced, ku buryo mushobora kugikoresha. It would be very handy information that you can have at the embassy and you learn from it, or from your parents, bakabafasha kucyumva. Kuko iyo urebye ikinyejana tukomeje gutya muvuga icyongereza n'igifaransa n'ikifinish neza, abana banyu bazaza bakivuga neza kurushaho. Twibagirwe ikinyarwanda completely, twibagiranwe ko twahozeho. Hari n'ubushakashatsi bwize bukorwa ngo ni izihe ndimi, which languages zishobora kugira extinction, zishobora kubura zikaburira irengero. Niba nabivuga mu Cyongereza bakavuga bati hahozeho, there existed a language that was spoken in this Central Africa and it expired or to exist. Ni Ikinyarwanda birimwo nabyo muri ubwo bushakashatsi bigaragaza. So we want to put in a lot of effort so that you know your language, you know your roots. You can even speak other languages perfectly. So digitizing Kinyarwanda and putting Kinyarwanda in ICT will help us to learn from it. We are still in the pilot phase. When we're done, we're going to publish it and also show where you can find it online. It will be both web-based and also mobile application that you can be accessing. So when we're done, we'll let you know, and of course, it will go through the embassy.
Thank you so much, Honorable Minister. And thank you so much for your questions. I can see there are still many more questions coming. Keep them coming. And remember, the title, the topic of this virtual conversation is Rwanda, My Identity, My Future. Before we take up the next questions, we would like to welcome Serge Kata from Denmark. Right after Serge Kata, Nshuti should also be getting ready. You're welcome, Serge Kata.
Rakoze, nitwa Serge Kata Birora, mba muri Denmark, Copenhagen. Muranyumva? Yes. Okay. Mba muri Denmark, maze imyaka 17 hano Denmark. Nabaye mu Rwanda imyaka 6 no muri Congo imyaka 7. Okay. ariko reka ngerageze mvuge mu cyongereza to be more efficient. I have studied as a construction architect, but I work in the green industry. But due to the restriction Corona, I am changing as a salesman in a company selling alarm system. But today I want to share my experience working in Rwanda back in 2014, where I did a feasibility study on the solar markets in the rural area. So what we did is I went to schools and health centers who didn't have electricity and tried to see how we can help them. So what I find out is that in Rwanda, in rural area, in health centers, who doesn't have electricity, they use kerosene fridge to cool down the medicine, and it was very expensive to use the kerosene fridge, and so that's one of my experience. But the good thing I have experienced in Rwanda, working in Rwanda, is that I did also a small installation for households, providing electricity to them, and to see the look on the eyes for the people in Rwanda, having electricity and having small kids, to see the happiness, it was food for my soul. It made me very happy. Unfortunately, we didn't have enough funds to do more installation to health centers and school, so we had to close down the projects. But what I would take, what I want you to take from this is that if you have a great idea you want to do, try to do it in Rwanda, where we come from, because you will benefit by helping your fellow men, your fellow beings. The other thing also I experienced while I was in Rwanda, they took good care of, they welcomed me very good. They was open-minded and tried to help me to achieve my goals. Yes, so I will encourage everybody who have a need to contribute to Rwanda to try it, at least try it. So the subject for today is my identity is my future. What we all have in common is that we all Rwandese and we live in Scandinavia. So in our daily life, we see high-tech solutions that could be beneficial for Rwanda. And on the other hand, you see me? Yes. On the other hand, Rwanda is evolving extremely fast, and many Rwandese we want to contribute to Rwanda, but we don't necessarily know how to do that. Yes, and when I talk to my fellow friends from Rwanda, they really want to do that. Yeah, to contribute to the growth of Rwanda. If I should look personally how I Rwanda, my identity is like I'm a Danish, but I'm a Rwandese. I really want to do something for Rwanda, and how I can see that is to be a middleman for companies in Denmark to enter in the African markets, in Rwanda markets. The organization we see so far here, they focus on Uganda, Kenya, and Tanzania. We don't have any organization who focus exclusively on Rwanda. So that's something I could see my way to contribute for the Rwandan fellow man in Rwanda. Yes. So my question I have for the embassy is that if we could be like a bridge between Danish companies and then Rwanda, how can an embassy in Sweden help us facilitate that process? That's my
Thank you so much, sir. So I think Jonas Pizera can note down the question so that we can receive our next speaker as well. Thank you so much, Sash, for the empowerment words and your experience, sharing your experience. Yeah. The next speaker is Nshuti from Denmark as well, talking about Turikumwe Association.
Thank you. All right. Nka Serge nanjye ndashaka kuvuga mu cyongereza to so it might be more effective. Not that I don't know Kinyarwanda, but I'll just preserve the right just to do it in English and not to embarrass myself for not knowing so many words. But I want to talk today about an association that we have here in Denmark, Copenhagen, and even though that as many knows it, or they would like to think of it as a youth organization, it's much more than that, because it was started by the youth in our community here. And first it was basically just a group focusing on doing culture events and entertainment, where would be invited to different kind of organizations and companies to entertain them with traditional Rwandan dance or traditional music, or maybe we would join different festivals where we would showcase maybe Rwandan crafts and food. And at I think around 2 or 3 years ago, we sat together with the youth, a handful of us, and thought that maybe we could do more. Maybe we could have a bigger impact with the means that we have and the resources and the knowledge that we had. So we came up with this association called Tulkume Association, and the idea behind that is that we wanted to come together, and we want to facilitate and also be a support to our community, and to build like a bridge between the communities that we live in currently and based in the Nordics, but also the community in Rwanda and abroad. I remember Minister of Youth mentioned, if I pronounce it well, Kuranda, just to expand. So we realized that we can make sure that we can expand our culture and also what the nation of Rwanda stands for. And also, as Serge mentioned, we see that more nations from other countries and from other parts of the world here, especially here in Denmark, are more represented, and then we felt the need and to push more, so we could also make Rwanda known. So for some of the things the initiatives that we had come up with, we had an event in collaboration with another association here who helps foreign or association with foreign heritage to kind of help them do projects and help them do events, where we did this networking event where we invited some entrepreneurs and also some members in our community to come and inspire the guests. So one of the things that, or the topic was linking Rwanda. So the concept to show and to prove that Rwanda is very much relevant and also very much on the map. So we want to just to display that and showcase that in Denmark. So we had these entrepreneurs who started businesses, and just to mention, they were Danish entrepreneurs who started businesses in Rwanda. So they came to inspire us and tell how about their journey. And we also had these two people in our community who came to talk about the internship they had in Rwanda in the public sector and also in the health sector. That was a very successful event, and we hope to see more of that. And during the pandemic, of course, we've been very limited on how much activity we could do, and also how we can mobilize ourselves. But we look to the future and hope to see ourselves be reactivated. And then the last thing that we started was in collaboration with a organization in Rwanda. They called Our Past. What their objective is to educate the young people there in Rwanda, and to educate them about the Kwibuka process. And what they do is that every year they have events during the Kwibuka period. And what they wanted to do was to also mobilize the young people to also help build the country. And so they went to Narama Genocide Survivors Village in Bugusera district, where they started projects to help the community of the in those families. So the project that we collaborated with them on was to raise funds to build a water supply system. So basically, just building pipes and water taps for 5 families, so they don't have to travel so far to get water. So we managed, together with also the help from our community here, around the diaspora, to raise 88% of the goal, and also together with a youth organization in Canada, we managed to reach the 100% of the goal. And you can I will share some details. You can go and read more about the project. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's very inspiring. I think we should have the next conversation. Invite the youth in our communities, because they have a lot to share with us. So I can see many people raising their hands and comments in the chat. We will get back to it. Note down your questions and write down your question as well in the chat so you don't forget. But before that, we'd like to welcome Arnold Turagara from Belgium, to tell us about the experience he had in Itorero in Dangamirwa.
Yes, sir. Sure. Hello, everyone. Do you hear me?
Yes, we can see you and hear you perfectly.
Okay, perfect. So first of all, I would like to thank Honorable Minister, Her Excellency Ambassador, and our entire team for their confidence and for this opportunity. So my name is Arnold Turagara. I'm 22 years old, and I'm a Rwandan who lives in Belgium. I got my bachelor degree in marketing management a little less than 2 years ago now, and I'm in my last year of my master degree in business sciences at ISHEC Brussels Management School, so in Brussels. I was born in Rwanda, but I arrived in Belgium at the age of 2, so I can say that all my life has been made in Belgium. Today, I'm not here to talk about myself, but about Itorero in Dangamirwa, of which I participated in the 12th intake, 12th edition in 2019. In fact, I'd like to start with the positive and negative points about Itorero in Dangamirwa, but I have only positive things to tell you. So that's my problem.
Problem.
During my stay in Gabiro, I've learned a lot of things, such as the history of Rwanda, discipline, and Rwanda's values. Concerning the history, we really started from the beginning until today. So from the different kings and kingdoms to the Republic as we know it today. As I said, we have also learned to be more disciplined. Without this civil and military training, which apart from me still serves me to this day. I can give you some examples, such as the respect of the timing. When you have to be somewhere at 10, you have to be there at 10, not 10 past 2, not 10 past 1, not 10 past 30 seconds, but at 10. That's the respect of the timing. I still practice morning run the best I can. A short story about the morning run. Funny fact though, in the beginning it was really tough, really difficult for all of us. But after 1 week or 2 for some, we get used to it, and we really liked it. It was a training that taught us how to be like real Rwandans, and to show the example of understanding people that we are wherever we go. As you know them, I'm sure you know them, but I'm going to cut them anyway. Rwanda's values are umwe, umurimo no gukunda igihugu. So to be united, to love your work and to do it the best way you can, and patriotism. After Itorero Indangamirwa, I've really changed in terms of values. I always loved my country, but now I still love it, but I want to work for it. I wanna be part of its progress. So working for Rwanda does not mean returning to Rwanda, opening a farm in Yamasheke. Of course, if you want to, you can do it. It would be a good thing, but it's not the only way. Even from Sweden, from Belgium, from France, even from the planet Mars, if you can get there, you can work for your country. I really had the chance to meet a lot of people during Itorero. We were 700 young Rwandan people, more or less the same number of girls as boys. Girls as boys. I want to put a mark on because from everywhere, and it was really interesting to meet young Rwandan like me who grew up in different environments, but who basically resembled and complemented me through their Rwandan identity. I've also kept in touch with a lot of them, and it's actually really, really cool because we can talk about projects, about how to respond to the different challenges that our country is facing, such as the recent COVID-19 crisis that affected our country, but all the rest of the world as well. After 46 days, Itorero Indangamirwa was over, but everyone wanted to stay, both girls as boys and boys. But we had to go back. Today, some work in their respective countries, some study, some travel. Life has resumed for everyone, but I'm sure that no one will forget those moments and those good memories that we had during Itorero Indangamirwa. I'd like to tell you more, but I don't have a lot of time. But I will finish by saying, if you are young, passionate, or even curious to know more about your country, where you come from, the Itorero Indangamirwa is made for you. You will only come out of it richer, humanly and mentally. And so, Rwanda, my identity, my future, you will only know your identity and your path by knowing where you come from. Thank you.
So, Arnold, I think we'll be consulting you for the rest of us that are motivated to go join the Itorero in Dangamuka.
Sure.
Yes, before we get to the actual interesting part of this program, Kahoot, we have not forgotten about that. We would like to take those remaining questions. Jonas Quizera,
Yes, there are so many people who are raising their hands for questions. But let's take 3 questions so far. We have Christelle Ishimwe and Sabrina Umutoni and Celine Umwali. Christelle Ishimwe.
Yeah, hello. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, Christelle.
Yeah, my name is Christelle and I'm from Sweden. So my question is to the minister, and my question is about mental health in Rwanda. I'm very interested in mental health because that's my work department, if you say so. And I was wondering, how is mental health spoken of in Rwanda right now? Because I have like experience of that it used to be, how do you say, neglected, like in like the older generation. And like I was wondering, how is it spoken of today? Is it free, like to go for counseling, or are there many people to find to, like, who are psychologists? Or because I have a dream of like starting a facility, you know, I have a dream for a long time, a mental health facility and an addiction center, because I feel like people who are in like genocide or like are traumatized, maybe they don't have people to speak to about things that happen to them, or the nightmares so some maybe go to addiction for counseling, if you know what I mean. So I was wondering, how is it like a big platform where you find yourself? I know there is Iwawa for like young adults, or to go to if you have an addiction, but is there like centers in the middle of Kigali that you can find to get cancellation? Thank you.
Okay, you wanted me to go straight to the question and answer? Moderator?
Yes, Honorable. How would you like to take all the questions at once, or would you like to answer one by one?
Perhaps taking all together would be better so that we can save more time.
All right. Thank you. Jonas, please, the next question.
Sabrina Omutoni.
They should be brief.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Your volume is very low, Sabrina.
Can you hear me now?
Can you put the video?
Yes, it's better now.
Okay. Okay, so nitwa Sabrina Omutoni, nanjye mba mu gihugu cya Denmark, and my question is like, hari uburyo umuntu ashobora kuza mu Rwanda like a lot, and then ugashaka nko kujya kugira ngo baguhereze like a phone number, like bakagusaba gushiraho like your information like in Rwanda, and like ushobora kuba warashizeho information zabo muri family, but nabyo bikuzura. So I'm asking like, hari uburyo umuntu ashobora kubona icyangombwa cyangwa ikarte ku buryo bajya bakorera umuntu byihuse, umuntu atabanje gutinda? Bishobora kuba ku kibuga cy'indege cyangwa ugiye gusaba simukadi yo muri telefone. Yeah, that's my question. Thank you.
Thank you, Sabrina. Let's take Celine Mali, then Gayer now.
Yeah, good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, okay.
Yeah, my question is to anyone who can feel that they can answer. I'm wondering, do you guys offer like summer jobs for us, like young people who would like to maybe work in Rwanda in the future? Thank you.
Gael?
Umaze kubaza yitwa nde? Wa summer jobs?
Celine Mwari. Celine Mwari.
Okay.
Gael, the floor is yours.
Well, thank you, Jonas. My name is Gael Hao, and I live in Copenhagen. So actually, I have a question for Honorable Rosemary Mbabazi. Based on the tragic and horrific events that took place in our country in 1994, we're talking about the genocide against the Tutsis. There has been different narratives about the incident that took place. Some of them were being denying the genocide. Some of them was being like recognizing the genocide. But over the last years, there's been a lot of youth people on different platforms on YouTube and so, coming with a new narrative about the genocide against the Tutsis in the DRC, sorry, about the genocide about the Hutus in DRC in '96. So my question is, what can we do as young people living abroad to contradict those narratives? And what tool we have from the platform that we can use? And my second question is there any database or platform that we can find reliable information to contradict those narratives? I don't know if my question is very clear.
Yes, it is.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for the questions. Dr. Ngoga, do you have any question that was on the chat?
Thank you. Actually, it's the similar question someone called Jesse wrote on the platform here, just saying to the minister, honorable minister, elaborate on the media propaganda, especially the role of the youth, and how they can counter the fake news on Rwanda. It's more or less the same. And another one called Herbert Shema, he's asking how can we actively help Rwanda from a distance more directly, or if it is possible that we can get any organization to help us achieve that. Those are the two questions I have for the minister, honorable minister. Please. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We would take these questions. Honorable Minister, the floor is yours.
The very pertinent questions and experiences as well. If we could start by appreciating, I think it's Katavirora, who talked about his background from Africa, Rwanda, DRC, and now where he is. Thank you even for speaking good Kinyarwanda. Don't feel shy. You're speaking it very well. Murakivuga neza na accent imeze neza. Keep trying, keep speaking it. You're doing well. He talked about the bridge that the embassy can create between the companies from Rwanda and also from Sweden. It's very possible, I believe the embassy probably can say something, but they can work with the embassy and RDB and the private sector federation in Rwanda to know what kind of companies that are in Sweden where you're located. How can you be a goodwill ambassador that would attract these companies back to Rwanda? I think this is possible and it has been done by many people. Our Rwandans who are abroad, they've been doing that like on a daily basis. So it's a good initiative that you can start with as a contribution. And along the way, you will see more opportunities coming up. But just take one step and then you will see more opportunities coming along the way. Christella Ishimwe asked a good question that is about mental health. Mental health now it's worse than before. With COVID, with isolation, with people being on their own. You know, our culture in Africa, African tradition is to be with the communities, communal. We are better off in that, in the social integration than where you are. But here it's very social. You can even be taken care of by the community, by the family. You don't work for a year and 2 years and 3 years, but the society or the family is taking care of you, which might be difficult where you are. But now this is almost being challenged by COVID-19, where you find you have to be where you are, even it's not easy. You everything on the phone because we don't want to contract a disease and the pandemic, and you take it to them and you spread it in your family. It's part of loving them, but this is creating a stress. It's creating a depression. It's creating anxiety, and all this becomes a problem, especially for the young people when they were not going to school, when they were kept home, not studying almost a year, but good news, they're now going back to school. Even the number of lower primary that was not going to school is starting on Monday with all the measures in place. And we see numbers of mental issues also rising up. Like you rightly said, Christelle, I think you follow up, we have rehabilitation centers. In the beginning, it started as a government initiative. Government setting up rehabilitation centers, training abajyanama b'ubuzima, community health workers with how do you deal with mental issues, how do you deal with mental wellness. You know, it's like a taboo in African tradition. Iyo uvuze ngo ikibazo cyo mu mutwe, umuntu yumva ko wasaze, ufite ikibazo cyo mu mutwe, even the naming ikibazo cyo mu mutwe kumva nkaho wasaze. So most of them, they keep quiet and silent about it. But now it is opening up, especially with the tragic history that you said. We had a country traumatized with this past of our past, orphans growing up, widows, abandi twita intwaza. Intwaza are people who have no children at all. Bafite homes that are hosting them. Umusaza yarasigaye wenyine. All the children are dead and the wife killed in 1994 genocide against Tutsi. Or it is the woman whose husband and all the children perished, and they can't feed the society. So the office of our First Lady organized resources and put up homes for these people, and they're taking care of them because they used to have a lot of trauma. You can imagine the whole history coming back to you. And we have different homes, the homes in Bugesera, the homes in Rwamagana, the homes in Huye, the homes in Rusizi. So there are many homes coming up for these elderly people, and they've been taken care of. If you even had the recent experience where one of those old women had a land and had no wife, no husband, no children, all of them perished in 1994, and was staying in these homes. Probably had distant relatives, ariko agiye gutaha yaranditse and gave the president her land as the child. Yumvaga ari we mwana afite kuko niwe wamurebereye muri ubu buzima bwose, niwe yahise yandikaho ku cyangombwa. When he went to the notary services to write this, abantu bose baravuga ngo why? Who? Why? And then they said, okay, this is what he decided. The old woman was intentionally saying, really, we want to have, this is the only child I have who took care of me in this period over time before I leave this world. And so the government is deliberately putting up all these infrastructures, the widows, others are civil society organization, Avega Gahozo, where they have these women who were raped and had children out of rape. And they have all these mental services, psychological services. And hospitals also are including psychological services now so that we can have people counseled at every level of medical services or hospitals or clinics, ibitaro by'uturere, district hospitals, so that we can have these services proximity, close to the society. There are also other, apart from Iwawa and Gitagata for children, for the street children that we always have in the streets, that we rehabilitate them. We have seen also help faith-based organizations, churches coming up with this initiative to come and do this service. We have also seen the private sector around Chichuchiro, Remera. We have seen some private companies coming up with this service, and they are providing the services that they need for mental wellness. But we also welcome your establishment. You said you're very interested in coming and providing this service, starting up a facility that can provide the mental wellness so that we can really complement what the government, the private sector, and the civil society, and the faith-based organization, what they're doing. Sabrina also asked about registration, and ndatekereza ko yavugaga where we can have a single location with your information, and whoever needs it can access it, not asking you kumurenge, they ask every detail. Kukarere, they ask every detail. You want to register for SIM card. I know this is a requirement everywhere. When you want to register, you have to have a SIM card. You always have to provide your information, your BIOS. But what we are working on in Irembo platform, it is to merge all these services together. So your ID is enough to know your Mutuelle de Santé, your health insurance that you have apart from Mutuelle de Santé, which is for community-based. All these services, we're trying to look for a system that is going to integrate all these services at one point so that you cannot have everyone asking the same information at every point of entry. So it is a challenge that we've seen in terms of service delivery. We want to streamline that so that you cannot be, for efficiency, you cannot be asked the same information at every point. And so at some point, even to be requiring re-engineering and putting out some of the services that are not needed. Based on a process, if you want to register for a company, you need IBC 10 or 17 steps. We reduce them and have 4 that are necessary. And some of the information, you can find them in the system. So systems are speaking to each other, interoperability, where they can speak to each other and provide the information that you need. Umutoni, Karin, Serine, and avuze summer jobs ntabwo tugira summer unfortunately iwacu good enough iwacu umesa ishati yawe ukayanika ku zuba, in just a few minutes you are gone. So but what you have is when in your holidays we always have internship opportunities. For the interns, we always advertise. We have also a portal with the website on RDB where you can put in your credentials, what do you want to do. So when companies need people who can come and provide that service, it is first come, first served. But for the diaspora, if you can put together your website, your information, how many wants to come to Rwanda, what are your areas of expertise, we can work with the embassy and organize it. Otherwise, it is for everybody on the website of RDB for opportunities that are available for short term and for long term. Ngira ngo twe dufite amahirwe dufite ubukonje n'ubushyuhe duhora dufite good weather. Gael abajije a very pertinent question that we are going to combine with Nundu abajije similar. Where can we get the information of the right narrative that we can keep on sharing? It seems you have information gap, or you don't have a lot of information to share when you want to face those fake news. The information which is not appropriate or not right. Sometimes this will continue having information depending on people's interest. Niba ashaka kubaho, agashaka imibereho, azakoresha narrative ye, there will even be others and others and others. Creating a narrative ye kugira ngo fitting interest ze azikoreshe for something iwanyu ngo habaye amafaranga menshi yo gufasha abo bantu bavuga ibintu bimeze gutyo. So we have websites like Senerge, Komisiyo irwanya Jenoside, yo kurwanya Jenoside, the National Unity and Reconciliation has information on their websites. But also, I think the embassy is handy to help you on the information that you might need. If you really want the information that, for example, if you're writing a book or your thesis, I believe you can get information at hand and you make sure you write the right information. So if also you want to be a brigade or the cyber teams that are on social media that are fighting and talking about providing right information for other young people who are naive or don't even know which one to consider, you can be there and provide this information. So there is no Rwandan there's no genocide in Congo, in DRC. You saw even the mapping report. Recently, there was a mapping report of the UN and the FDLs, those who committed genocide in Rwanda and continued in DRC. There is information they keep on putting together to keep on bringing Rwanda in these crimes, which is not true. We didn't go to fight the army. I'm not speaking for them, but the information I know is that there is no Rwandans who went to commit genocide in Congo, not at all. But it is kind of things that create an atmosphere where you forget the real issue and you focus on non-issues. There is another question that Shema asked about Help Rwanda. How is there a company or organization that can be put together to help Rwanda? I think the embassy can be right in place to help you, be given the context and what kind of help you're thinking about. But I believe, how do you use your skills back home? How can we provide an environment that can allow you to come and provide the skills that you have supporting in the field of your expertise. If you are into marketing or if into engineering, we want electrification of rural areas like your colleague mentioned, or you want to market Rwanda, or you want to export Rwandan products in your countries, this could be something that is possible. And the Techezako Embassy could also, after this, I believe most of the questions you are raising here will be put into resolutions of what will be done after, post this meeting. Thank you, moderator, back to you.
Thank you so much, Honorable Minister. We would like to apologize. We cannot take all the questions right now, but we're recording all the questions and you will be answered, and we'll communicate to your community leaders for the smoothing of the answering of the questions. We are going to... Yes.
Can I maybe add a few words, as the minister mentioned that some of the questions might be addressed by the embassy.
Yes, Your Excellency.
Yes, okay. Thank you. I will not take much of the time. I know you are looking at the time. So I will be brief, and I totally agree, of course, with what Minister said. And for the questions of put by Sabrina or Celine or Herbert, I think we can continue, and we have taken note, and I think we know the communities where they live, so we will also continue the discussions with them and support where they need they need support. And of course it's very good to hear that they want to help in Rwanda, they want to be active in Rwanda, and they want to get some guidance on how they can do it. The one question I want to come back to is a crucial one posed by Gael and someone else, I don't remember the name, about the misinformation and disinformation that are out here. I think Minister talked about it. It is true. But I think that this is a very important point. We need to talk further with you, the young people. We have information, of course, of how to navigate it, what are the hostile media, how can you recognize them, and all these points we cannot discuss them here. But Gael, I think, would it be something if we organize a separate event with you young people, that we really get into this question? You tell us what you saw.